Come with me, I'll tell a story that you might have heard before. Graphically novel, but the same old trouble. Villains always knocking at the door. Pretty pictures on the page, but nothing ever stays the same.
Thank you, Vandello, and welcome once again to Graphically Novel. My name is Josh Wasta, a.k.a. Fallout Fieri, and with me, as always, is my Kang the Conqueror.
Ooh. I'm Kang.
Hi, Kang.
My MCU step porn. It's there.
I was hoping for like Sigrand or something like that, but I'll take it. I'll take it as way better than last season.
You'll take step porn?
Sure.
Are you sure it's Kang and not He Who Remains?
Well, let's get into it.
We will get into it.
But
We haven't even finished the introductions yet.
coming out swinging.
It is always my pleasure to introduce our Verity Willis, our human lie detector, because she calls us on all of our bullshit.
Damn straight.
It is the lovely and talented, the Baronessa, Ms. Jennifer Howland.
Thank you, Bear.
Spoilers for the comic.
Woo! It is my pleasure, as always, to introduce our guest.
And now in-house.
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 We have an in the flesh, in-person look. I am touching him.
Untethered.
For our Loki episode, we have none other than Loki.
Our own variant.
Yay!
Your own variant and an Inception.
Woo!
Loki talking about Loki on Loki.
Yay.
That's right. And the book Loki.
Yes.
What more can you ask for?
Loki, Agent of Asgard.
Loki on Loki with a side of Loki.
Yes.
That's right. It's true. We, it is Lokiception.
Well,
you are
welcome.
correct.
Thank
Yes.
you for being here. It's lovely to have you in our home.
Thank you for inviting me.
And it's a pleasure meeting you for the actual first time in the flesh, sir.
Sure, He Who Remains. Oh, wait. Yeah, nice to meet you too.
Loki, and actually, we've mentioned it so many fucking times on this show that we have to mention another bonus. Loki coming to visit us is awesome. So happy for it. But at the same time, while he's here, he gets to reap the benefits of Tomorrow, Bear.
Yes.
That you have been talking about for a year now.
Yes. It's been so many years in coming. It's been like, when this movie came up, it was, 3 years ago when they first started talking about they're making Dune.
It's almost like Black Widow.
Almost. Except for this is going to be a better movie.
Oh,
Wow.
sick burn. Not unwarranted.
Not unwarranted. So we'll have the pleasure of having Loki with us for the movie tomorrow. No, I didn't go and see it opening night, and I got some shit about that. It's like, why didn't you get a private showing for opening night? Because I hate people. I invited specific people that are my people to the private showing. And yes, this is a thing that's happening. It's going to happen tomorrow. We're less than 12 hours away.
Yes.
And no, we're not less than 12 hours. We're less than 24 hours away. Sorry.
And it is, we are celebrating Bear's birthday.
That's right. Happy birthday
to another trip around the Earth.
And because Loki is a Loki variant, would you like to explain the mischief that you've brought us?
Well, there's good and bad chaos.
Well, that's true. You brought us very good Russian vodka.
Oh,
That's the good chaos.
that was amazing.
The bad chaos is the Brock's candy corn turkey dinner candy corns
All right.
that we all have to try.
I'm actually looking forward to the coffee flavor because it smells amazing.
Which one's the coffee one? I'll try
This
that
one.
first.
This one.
Is that
All
the...
right.
I got one of all 4 different colors here.
We're going to do them all at once.
Oh,
Oh, wait, what? Well,
that is not coffee.
I'm going to go with... This is probably the cranberry one because it's
Oh,
all
that
red.
is not
I'm
coffee.
going to try this cranberry one first. And I hate candy corn, so...
That was the turkey one, and oh my god, I want to die.
I just put all 4.
Awesome. Way to go.
Okay, I think this is the coffee one.
Oh.
Holy shit, the turkey one is gross. Maybe it's stuffing. I don't know.
Was that-
It's just...
I don't know if that was cranberry sauce, but It just kind of tasted like regular candy corn, which is kind of gross.
Okay.
Try the green one.
I found
I
the
think
coffee.
is this the coffee one?
Yes.
Okay, so it's the one that kind of looks like
Redemption.
like a nice dark beer.
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh my god. Don't eat those. The light ones, the light brown ones.
All right, fine.
You have to try them.
The coffee one isn't terrible.
Oh, the coffee one is good.
The coffee one's palatable.
It's turkey stuffing and a little bit of mashed potatoes.
Oh, it's so
Is
bad.
that what this one is?
It tastes like really stale bread and
Should I have
bad.
something to wash this down
Well,
with?
that's what stuffing is.
Yeah,
It's
go
very
for it.
stale bread.
All right, here we go.
Wait,
Hang
is
on,
this
I-
corn?
Let me rinse my palate.
Wait,
'Cause-
this looks similar, but it has more yellow. I don't want to eat that if it's the same. I've already had that one.
All right, I think this is the turkey one.
That was not good. The red one was good though.
Oh my god, what did you just do to me?
See?
Oh, and it just kind of blooms in your mouth and
Yep.
gets worse.
Yeah.
Bear,
gosh.
Bear, drink something
If you
fast.
guys
Oh no,
could
wait,
see-
that's not apple pie.
If you could see his face,
Is that apple pie?
There's some
fantastic.
kind of cinnamon and
No.
pie
Oh, well,
spice.
you don't like cinnamon.
I mean, cinnamon is one of those spices that must be used with restraint. They did not do that in the candy corn.
Unlike melange.
Unlike melange, melange should not be used with
let's go
restraint.
for green all at the same time.
I already ate green.
Did you?
Yeah. All right, I'm going to do this one because it looks slightly different.
This
Maybe
one's-
this is the apple pie.
I think I had the apple pie one, which is
That
the-
one, yeah, that
Is
one.
this one the turkey one?
I think so.
Because it's lighter. it's
No,
more like
God,
yellow.
this is
More
stuffing
turkey?
again.
Oh,
Ah.
all right.
I mean, I love
Stuffing's horrible.
stuffing, but I got to try this thing here. Okay.
Oh,
I think this is the last color I have to try. Oh no, there's one with a yellow top. Oh, gross.
oh! I'm gonna spit on the floor, so you have to
Oh.
do the floops again.
Oh,
Yeah, no, that's
oh,
horrible.
what the fuck did you? Oh,
Oh.
Yep.
Which one was that?
I don't.
That was
I think
turkey.
that's turkey. It tastes like there's some kind of cheap stock mixed into that.
Yeah, and
Oh,
Josh
God,
is
it's
just like handfuls.
Josh is like literally like
He's
finished
just-
that whole bowl.
gross.
Oh, this is nasty. Where's the vodka?
I mean, candy corn is horrible to begin with.
I love candy corn.
Candy
Agreed.
corn is the worst,
I can't swallow it.
second worst.
It's just kind of
That's what she
all in
said.
my
I
mouth.
agree. And you know, this makes me really consider like what kind of a relationship I'm in.
You didn't know beforehand.
You
didn't.
drink Malort.
Oh,
Malort is better than this.
Thank you.
I can't believe I had to be the one to say that. Malort is. Ugh.
Speaking of looks being deceiving, let's talk about Loki.
Yay!
all right, bring it on.
Loki, our Loki. Oh, this is getting
Our variants.
I
No.
did not think this through.
It's
This
fine.
story
if
of your
if
life.
you say Loki and you expect a response, then everyone understands that it's our friend Loki.
And
if
you are
say
not just
Loki,
praying to the god of mischief because Odie's going to pop up and.
and you're talking about the character Loki, and he does respond, then
We're all fucked.
Depends on which of the 7 different Lokis between the 2 media that we're dealing with today.
Listen, if you say Loki and that candy corn pops up into the image of a face, there will be yellow, weird, brownish candy corn horns
Ugh.
on a green face with the. Yeah, no.
nope.
I'd rather bit by alligator Loki.
Yeah,
Alligator Loki was arguably the coolest Loki out of all of this.
I don't know.
Arguably. I said
kinda like Kid
arguably.
Loki.
Kid Loki did commit the ultimate crime.
I'm down, but
I was also down with Mayflower from Hudson Hawk Loki.
maybe we should introduce the comic that we read so people
Hey,
know what the hell we're talking
So
about.
we read Loki, Agent of Asgard, issues 1 through 5. Now, we did have the omnibus for this. So all of us have the opportunity to read more, so we will, of course, go through that at the very end on whether or not we would read it. But, so let's just do overall impressions, trying to keep somewhat spoiler-free.
We're going to jump right into the comic. You want to start with the...
I just want to give impressions of the comic,
All right.
because we assume that everyone here has seen the show. So, Loki, what did you think of Agents of Asgard?
To begin with, I love the art style.
That's the
The
first
art
thing Jen said.
The art was amazing. And previously I was on the show for Doom Patrol,
Yes.
which reading that comic was like, what the fuck is going on throughout the whole thing?
Fucking love that.
Yeah, and it was
It was good. It was
fantastic.
real good.
And then, it all just kind of came together.
Shout out to my favorite actor, Danny the Street.
Yes, stay in the street.
So this comic was very much the same. I mean, it was just like, what the fuck? Up until like the last couple pages, and then you could see the plot just all come together, and it was like, holy fuck, amazing.
Yes. Yes, it does leave you in a state of, I don't know if I know what the hell is going on, but in a good way. I've discussed letting go of things before in the show. It's why I could not get as deep into Legion, the show Legion, as Jen and Bear could.
So good.
I was desperately clinging to at least a thread of what was happening, but the problem is that you're dealing with like 2 to 3 different unreliable narrators in that show.
Right.
We're talking about the god of mischief.
Uh-huh.
You know, like Norse, basically Prince of Lies. And it's just one of those things like, listen, you're here. You just need to sit back, strap in, and just enjoy the ride.
Right.
Yeah.
It's like when you sit down in Space Mountain for the first time and you're in the lead seat of the lead cart, and it's all pitch black in there, and suddenly you feel like framing members whizzing past your head, and you're just like, I'm gonna die, but at least I'll have a story.
Jen?
I loved it. I really, as Loki said, the art was great. I enjoyed it. I thought that I didn't find it hard to follow, but I also have because I like stories like Legion, I think that that's kind of how my brain works. Like, I don't need to have like a narrative that's clear cutting through what's going on. I like kind of the like, okay, here's the story, and it's a cloud.
I'll give you that because you get a very strong sense of time travel in this one as you're reading it, which I personally am just not a fan of. I don't like when a perfectly good...
It's because 99% of time travel, they do it wrong.
Either they do it wrong, or they just use it to explain the thing that they want to explain that wouldn't be able to happen normally, and it's just a bunch of garbage. But this was pretty much had a very serious point that it was driving to. Mm-hmm. And so even though while it had very strong time travel vibes, I was still just like, listen, this is a good ride. They're doing it well. I'm just going to, just like I said, strap in and let it go.
Well, and we actually kind of discussed it a little bit before the show. And I said, but what if not time travel?
Yes, you did say that. And I was just like, might not be time travel.
Right. Because, and that's the beauty of Loki.
Yeah.
Is Loki doesn't even know what Loki is.
This is true.
Well, in which Loki?
Right.
What are you doing?
Which
I can't tell you. That's a surprise. I mean, if I tell you, then it's just going to ruin it.
Oh, come on. You don't even know what you're doing.
Well, you know, chaos just kind of reigns.
Well, which brings us into the show, because a lot of those concepts actually were taken into the show, and I can see where this run is right in the middle of a bunch of Loki stuff. If I'm remembering correctly, the Young Avengers run that has Kid Loki was just before this. Then the end of that became this. This is what happens after that with the character, because he was Kid Loki for quite some time. Because and it's not that much of a spoiler, but he was always meant to be the god of mischief. Somewhere along the line, he became the god of evil. And in a course correction for that, he was born again as Kid Loki and just being a god of mischief again. Which, all of that ties into this comic, which we're not going to do a bunch of spoilers for. Right. But we did see aspects of that in the show. Because the Richard E. Grant character,
yes,
I saw as more of a evil Loki.
Yeah.
Which they point out.
Yes.
Very early on in the series.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, early on when they introduced multiple Lokis.
Yeah.
Well, basically when the organization snags him and then shows him back through his life, and he's like, "Are you really a god of mischief?
Right?
Are you?
You're more of an evil, yeah.
You just kind of murder people on the regular,
right? Well, and that was going into the show. That was my issue with the character. I had a hard time because to me, that character is burned as a hero for sure. Mostly as an anti-hero as well because Loki caused the War of New York. Loki invaded Earth with an alien force and killed thousands of people.
And by the way, we are now on the TV show.
Yes, we are on the TV show.
Because
Sorry.
we
TV
kind of
show
segued into that without
going back
really-
to Avengers
Yeah.
and everything else.
Right.
Like, he was
Right.
actually part of the like shock troop force of why am I blanking on his name?
Thanos.
Thanos. Thank
yes.
you.
Yeah.
Yes, he was
Of
working
course
with
you would know his
Thanos.
name,
Yeah.
wouldn't you?
Yes.
He was working with Thanos, who for some
What else do
reason
you want?
gave him an Infinity Stone, which is never really explained.
Yeah.
Uh,
Yeah, that doesn't make much sense to me at all.
no.
But,
I think that's a hand wave. You're not supposed to remember that.
right. So, I
Well,
think
didn't that come up in the second Thor? Didn't they have the...
Do not ask me to
Tesseract.
remember a
I
single
was just
fucking
gonna
thing
say,
about Thor the
you
Dark
expect
World.
me to remember something about Thor? Oh, wait. No, sorry.
No. Matt Damon as Loki is all I remember.
Wait, what?
When they...
No, that was Ragnarok.
Was
That
it
was
Ragnarok?
Ragnarok.
That was Ragnarok.
I was
Never
like,
mind.
wait, what?
Never mind then. There was
Thor
nothing
the
good
Dark
about
World
Thor the
had
Dark
the
World.
elves and the red stone.
Yes. That possessed Jane, even though if Infinity Stones touch you and you're a human being, you explode, which
Right.
is a thing
Vaporize.
in Guardians of the Galaxy,
explode,
but
vaporize.
never really brought up ever again in anything
Right.
else. You can't touch an Infinity Stone. Anyway.
But
Yeah.
isn't she going to be the new Thor? I mean, maybe she's got something else in her, little Asgardian
Yeah,
or
she's
something.
got a little Asgardian.
She's good.
Sorry.
Now I just have the Natalie Portman rap in my head. By the
She
way,
was a little Thor after that.
Right.
wow.
Cheers.
If any
Cheers,
of our
Loki.
listeners do not know what we're talking about when we say the Natalie Portman rap, pause this episode,
Look it up.
go to YouTube, and look up Lonely Island's Natalie Portman rap.
Wasn't there a part 2 to that also?
Yes, there was, in fact. The first part was especially really good.
The movies and the TV series kind of had a difficult go of it because Tom Hiddleston, like, he can be kind of like, okay, creepy, chaotic, whatever, but he is such a good soul. It is hard to believe him as evil Loki, like truly evil Loki. So I think that they kind of had a very difficult upward battle.
That's an interesting point because I think you can even see that going back to his first appearance. Because he's literally in Germany, like, doing a Nazi speech.
Yeah.
Like, when Captain America shows up and calls him on being a Nazi.
Right.
Like, that is how over the top you have to be to not have the man just ooze charm.
Yeah.
Joss Whedon had to have him call Black Widow a quim in order for that scene to really work.
Yep.
Which normally I would be like, let's cut that line. And then looking at it, I'm like, no. Like, he can't.
Yeah.
That is his, I need to be evil
I need to be evil.
Yeah.
I need to look down in the
Right.
worst possible way on someone.
Yeah.
But the thing that, just to go radically different from what I just said, when there is a dramatic moment and he is doing something truly horrible, he is frightening.
Oh, see Only Lovers Left Alive.
Yeah.
Oh, Jesus Christ.
Great movie.
Yeah. He and Tilda Swinton play vampires.
Oh,
Oh, I need to
Fantastic.
watch this.
Holy shit, it's a great movie.
I mean,
Such a
Tilda
good
Swinton.
movie.
Yeah,
Yes.
Right?
I know, right?
Yeah.
Did the little heart
Yep.
thing?
Yeah.
Holy cow.
Want to see Loki and the ancient one as vampires?
No.
Only Lovers Left Alive.
Not every goes back to that. They
It
are
does
actors with a
during the
long history.
She will always be Gabriel.
Yes.
that's true.
Versus
Okay.
the old-
Again,
the old one.
with the show.
Yeah, it is with the show.
But that's what I'm saying.
Yeah, Bear and I did that episode. You weren't there for that.
Hey, that doesn't mean she can't comment.
It's true.
She can comment on our past works because she does it on a daily basis.
I sure do. And Constantine is one of my favorites.
Yep.
And I know that there's
So
a lot
good.
of controversy with that particular version.
oh
but-
my god, the devil.
Yeah.
The Devil's great in that.
Yeah.
I don't mind
We
Keanu
talked
Reeves
about
in that role.
Yeah, Keanu Reeves did a good job. The Devil, I think, stole that. What was his name again? The Russian
Peter
guy?
Stromer?
Yeah.
Peter Stromer.
Stromae.
Stromae or something.
If
Yeah.
you're listening to this, sir, I am so sorry for butchering your name.
If
We're
you're
gonna do
listening to this, holy shit!
Right?
Thank you.
If you're listening to this, I will get a Twitter account. You just tag either Josh or Jen.
Or at Graphically Novel.
Or at Graphically Novel. I'll get a Twitter account if you're listening to this.
Yeah, that goes right on the pile with Marvel. Call us if you want us to fix your stories.
Yeah. We'll do it.
Okay, but that's not as...
Yes, that's true.
So, back to Loki.
So anyway, speaking of wow, Mobius, next character to discuss, Owen Wilson. Now, I remember when we first saw the commercials, Jen, you and I were sitting on that couch, and you were like, there's no way that's going to work. Owen Wilson?
I did the same thing.
way.
I did the same thing.
But we also watched it, and I said, but why? But why? No.
And then you
But
watched
nobody
it,
wants
and then
it.
you went, oh my god, it works.
No.
I thought it worked.
I said, but why? I watched it, and I said, but why?
No, I think it was perfect.
I don't know the character. I don't want to know the character.
I don't know the character at all, but I thought Owen Wilson was perfect.
When I saw that he was going to be in it, I was just like, dear God, slit my wrists because I can barely stand him in half the things I've seen him in. And, I really don't like him. Sorry if you're listening, but, hey.
Again! Wow!
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 Thanks for listening.
Wow, you listen to my podcast.
It wasn't even the casting. It was the trailer that I was just like, seriously? But why?
But he did go above and beyond what I thought he was going to do.
He did go outside of his typecasting, which
Yeah.
I appreciate.
Yes, true.
But they also used a lot of his actual typecasting as a weapon towards Loki.
Yes.
Which I thought was perfect. I thought that was the best part of the whole thing. It was just like, he kind of hints in at some of his usual typecasting and just annoys the ever-living shit out of Loki with it. So I kind of felt like, hey, it's not me that he's... it's not me as the audience that he's targeting with this shit.
Yeah.
It's somebody else on screen.
Yeah.
Well,
And so I was amused.
And that also goes back and forth because Tom Hiddleston is using the same Owen Wilson energy back on Owen Wilson. The scene in particular that I'm thinking of is when he's explaining the apocalypses and he's messing with Owen Wilson with Mobius' salad.
Yeah.
Like what Tom Hiddleston is doing is channeling the annoying Owen Wilson energy.
Yeah.
To Owen Wilson.
Right.
Who is like, hey, now, wow, no.
Yeah.
Which was hilarious on the pouring of the drink.
Yes.
Or actually, the salt, pepper, and then getting up, getting the drink, coming back, and then doing it again. I mean...
Yes.
And then explaining how bad of a metaphor it was. And,
yes.
Apologizing for that. But then just continuing on going, whatever,
Right, I'm going to ruin your lunch.
Yeah.
Yeah. Had some pretty big Family Guy vibes there.
A little bit.
Yeah.
But, I mean, I felt it worked. I felt it was... surprisingly for me, I enjoyed it, and I don't know... It would have been different no matter who else was in that role, but I don't know if I would have enjoyed it more or less. So, I'm fine with it. It's pretty much where it ends up at. It worked for what it needed.
Right, but I'm not sure that I suppose it was good casting for, like, the path. The travel of that character, where they started, where they ended up at the end of the series. But does that mean we have to put up with him for movies now?
Who would you have put in different?
I don't know who I would have put in different. I felt like, and okay, I will backtrack a little bit. It wasn't that terrible.
Yeah.
But it was, I just felt like...
I'm going to give you it was distracting.
Yes. Yeah. I mean, it was...
But not as distracting as it could have been, because I was actually thinking about this. What you need for this role, and this was Owen Wilson being the closest he could to this, is a blank slate, a tabula rasa character, like actor. Mm-hmm. You need somebody that is just an empty whiteboard that you can just squeak and fill in. Like, at first I was like, you know what would have been awesome? Steve Buscemi as Mobius. And I'm like, but that wouldn't have been because it ends up just being Steve Buscemi,
So I
so you
literally...
need a...
Go ahead.
I mean, I guess the only one I can think of is like Matthew McConaughey. Is just like, I'm not actually a person. I'm just
I literally just had this thought popped into my head while we're sitting here. The scene from Ocean's 11. You have to be funny, but not so funny that he remembers you. You have to be...
Right.
You have to be forgettable. So I'm thinking Matt Damon. Matt Damon walking in going, you know, in that scene specifically where he's dealing with, what's his name that's in charge of the casino. It's like, you know, this guy's got a rap sheet as long as it's long.
Yeah.
You know, I want that. I think we could have put Matt Damon in there.
Except
he had already
been.
Yeah,
Loki.
he had already been Loki.
So he would have been confused as a variant, possibly.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, it's... I suppose I shouldn't, you know, an actor's got to work and, you know, but can make better selections for movies that you've been in.
Well, let's move to somebody...
I would like you better.
Let's move to somebody that did not split the room, and that is Sophia Di Martino, who played Sylvie.
Mm-hmm.
The introduction of a female Loki. Femme Loki is actually a thing in the comics. Actually referenced once in the comic that we read. Femme Loki occurred after Loki had died, and he is reincarnated as a woman. It's a whole thing, and then back to the original Loki, and then eventually to Kid Loki. It's a whole thing.
Do we have Horse Loki? Is there a comic with Horse Loki or Alligator Loki?
Not Alligator Loki yet.
I'm sure there
will be now.
There will
Yeah.
be.
The closest that you get is to Horse Loki is Beta Ray Bill, who's Horse Thor.
Well, that's just because he looks
There's
like
also-
a horse to begin with.
There's also Thog, which is Thor Frog, which is literally a time that Loki turns Thor into a frog, and it lasted like a year in the comics.
Okay.
Where Thor was a frog.
See a previous episode where I pull in my friend Anthony Hendon to explain this shit.
Comics is weird. So the introduction of Sylvie, though, is a completely different because when Femme Loki happened in the comics, she was evil, like she was the god of evil Loki. This was a very different direction for the MCU to go. Yeah,
I was reading that this character Sylvie was actually like a mix of Enchantress and I forgot the other one. What can I just blank? It might have been Lady Loki.
Okay.
You know, and it was a mix of those two for the character on the TV show.
Okay, that's nice. Yeah, because Enchantress has only showed up on Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., which is not...
I'm okay with that because if they make Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. canon, then they might have to make Inhumans canon.
No.
And we don't want to do that.
No one wants this at all. Marvel doesn't even want to deal with Inhumans.
Yeah, screw the woman with the hair that whips
Medusa.
people. I understand what her name is, and the king who can't
Listen.
speak.
And we're all on the moon, and unless Black Bolt's there, I don't want to deal with the moon.
Okay, well, the Black Bolt is literally the king of the Inhumans.
I know,
Okay.
but I want him to be there, and I want Hulk to be there.
You want World War Hulk.
I'm just saying.
Yeah.
But Black
Love you,
Bolt
Leia.
can't talk because he'll destroy everything
Yes.
with his voice, which, you know, makes for great TV.
Right.
So
Yes.
anyway, back to Sylvie.
Right. Back to Loki and Sylvie, who is Loki.
So I really enjoyed her portraying and her character. I mean, because she wasn't the evil Loki.
Right.
She wasn't like the anti-hero. She was just doing, well, I guess we're going to ruin it, but I mean,
The TV
she was,
show's
The
fine.
TV
Yeah,
show's
so-
fine.
No, I know. So, I mean, she was just basically out for her own vengeance
Well,
versus any other, you know, I'm going to take over the world. Or I'm going to, you know.
and at the point that we meet her, because she had been taken when she was 8, 9, like
Yeah,
she
9,
was
she's
young.
Little, yeah.
So more than half of her life, she's been basically just on the run. And at that point, you know, that's revenge is really all you got.
And, you know, the her hiding out in the apocalypse.
Mm-hmm.
Great.
I mean, that was just brilliant
Mm-hmm.
to stop, you know, any deviations on the timeline. Or the,
Right.
Right. No, that's fantastic. And it's I always like the the idea of establishing the rules and then using those rules against like the authority. Yeah,
Yeah,
or
right.
the rules or the
rules against
authority.
the rules,
I and the addition of that, and going to Pompeii and, all of these things that when you think about it, Pompeii is absolutely an apocalypse. For that town, for that society, that was an apocalypse. No one survived. Awesome. And it reframed even the thought of the word apocalypse, because we usually think of everybody dies. An apocalypse
is a world ending, but what is your world?
Right.
Well, apocalypse actually just means change. It means renewal. It doesn't mean the world is ending. Apocalypse actually means
the basis for the word.
Yeah.
I think
Yeah.
at this point in time, though, they've, much like how everything else in language evolves, I think that we've added that, like yeet.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so since I said it out loud, I actually said this word out loud on a recording. It's going out into cyberspace. What is the past tense of yeet?
Yeeted.
Is it? Okay. I was just really hoping it was yote. I don't know why.
Apocalypse also means the first mutant.
Okay.
Listen, that was already a bad movie that I'm pretty sure we covered.
We discussed it kind of during Dark Phoenix.
Yes. Anyways.
Well, if you're ever going to do that show, count me out of that movie because I don't want to see it again.
Ever again.
But I will send you vodka or whatever to bolster your spirits. If you have to watch it again,
You can send me vodka anytime you want, baby.
Well, yeah, we're going to watch it next week.
And the week after that.
I'll just leave the bottle.
There you go.
One of the things I actually really enjoyed about the Loki variants and about having the female Loki, even though I was like, part of me was a little bit annoyed because, okay, now we've got a burgeoning romantic relationship, which
he's basically going to go fuck himself.
I was getting there.
Oh.
I was walking my way there slowly. I was doing the, two bulls.
Hey, look, a shortcut.
I was doing the old bull and the young bull on a hill. I was going to get there.
So Bear was doing foreplay.
Yes.
And you were
It was
not.
taking, but his foreplay was taking a long time.
Squirrel. Anyways. That's an inside joke. You'll catch it later. Anyways.
That's what she said.
I was actually really entertained by the fact that I was like, first off, I'm kind of annoyed that there is a burgeoning romantic relationship, but I was also very much enjoyed the fact that, yes, it is Loki, amongst all the other stories of Loki, we've got alligator Loki, we have frog Thor, we have Loki turning himself into a horse so he can have sex with a horse so that he can birth his father's riding horse, the six-legged, what was the name of that one? I don't even remember.
Oh, God.
Anyways, moving on. So now we have male Loki having sex with female Loki, and I just kind of want to see what happens with that.
But they
Do we get young Loki from that?
They
Please?
pruned that timeline.
Yeah, they did.
Kind of.
But
Kind of.
But I also saw that as, the two variants of Loki recognizing what they liked about themselves in each other. So it's like Loki met a ton of Lokis and didn't like any of them except for Sylvie.
But I also recognize that whole timeline as, in the end, the only thing Loki cares about is herself.
Yes.
Yeah. Yes.
Maybe we should go with Sylvie and Loki.
Yeah.
Just to split it up that way.
Don't dead name her.
Yeah.
Just saying.
She was a good enough character.
She said that she didn't want to be
be.
called Loki. So
Yeah.
don't dead name her.
Just saying.
And so there's that train of thought, but then there's also another train of thought where Sylvie shows our Loki, for better reference, that he doesn't have to follow the path that he thinks is in front, like that is set in front of him.
It was kind of like
He does not have...
redemption arc. For
Right.
him.
Yes.
Yeah.
He does not have to have terrible purpose.
But
Right.
I mean, it also started off, I think, when he saw, when Mobius was showing him
The scene where he sits down and watches
and sees,
what
like-
would have happened
Yeah.
moving forward.
sees the events that happened in
And how he died. Yeah.
Thor: The Dark World, and then how he died in Ragnarok. Or no, was that...
That
yeah.
was Infinity
No,
War.
that was
The very beginning.
The very
of
beginning of
Infinity War.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I mean, I think redeeming factor for him, you know, and it made him go from the shitty villain that was trying to take over New York
Mm-hmm.
into kind of more of an anti-hero, you know, going along the same lines of Ragnarok kind of turned him more into the anti-hero. You know,
It's
that
as
was
close
bit-
as he could get in a lot of estimations.
It's-
redeeming,
yeah.
but then this, I think, actually brought him towards, you know...
I get where you're going with that. It's the listen, I'm the god of evil, but we're working on this very slow progression towards an anti-hero, which is the best I'm ever going to get. And I think I agree with you. I think I'm guessing this is where you're going. Is it's the way Disney wanted to play this very slowly, kind of like the long con. Is like it's going to take a while before we can actually get from point A to point B.
Yeah, I mean, also, it's, you know, character development, which
Right.
I love, you know, and even though it's happened over, you know, TV show and a couple movies, his character is still evolving,
Right.
as opposed to just being some, you know, Captain America. Blah.
Arguably
there's-
some of the best character development storylines throughout the whole MCU so far.
Yeah.
Arguably.
So,
Scarlet
I would
Witch.
have-
I'm
Scarlet
sure.
Witch.
I'm sure this will surprise none of you except for Jen. Extremely shocked at this, but I've had this conversation with other comic book nerds.
I'm shocked. I tell you.
Yes,
Not you?
Shocked to hear there's gambling going on
in this establishment.
Thank you, Kat.
But when I go back to my problem is he invaded New York. He caused thousands of deaths. And that's when nerds like me, but on the opposite end of my argument, will crawl out of everywhere and say the Mind Stone was affecting him and making him into the general. I'm like, I don't buy it. And their justification is like one line that he was affected by the Mind Stone in a official Marvel wiki on Marvel.com. And I'm like,
All right. Well, here,
All right.
devil's advocate.
sure.
Maybe that's the only reason Thanos let him have it. Because Thanos knew it would affect his actions.
Would feed his megalomania and...
Right.
Right. Because
Like
it
he saw
amplifies you.
it- yeah.
Yeah.
So, I mean, that makes sense. And really, why else would Thanos let go of one of his stones?
True.
Well,
All right, fair. I'll roll with that.
I
Thank you.
still will not.
Thank you, Verity.
I see.
You're welcome, Variant.
Oh my God.
He's variant. I'm Bear.
I'm probably a variant. I don't know.
Well,
I am very much
technically,
not a variant.
By the show, there was tons of variants.
Right.
It's true.
So you all could be variants.
There's no TVA agent coming into my living room, taking me out though. So.
Odie, are you a TVA agent?
Yeah, but I'm just like super lazy, and you guys keep feeding me, so.
Well, and we're not causing an apocalypse.
No deviation from the timeline.
That's right. So, Loki, you came with some notes.
Yeah, IMDb notes. I've left the other notes.
What
Call
about
that,
the D?
We call that research.
Yes.
Yes.
That is research.
So-
Or it's just feeding Jason. As we pull up
The D.
So I forgot the world where the moon was crashing into the planet,
Oh, yeah.
and the two Lokis getting together and having their little moment caused a deviation on the timeline enough for them to notice. Was
Yeah.
kind of like a...
I don't agree with that.
Was kind of
Yeah.
a sticking point for me where it was like, that was the one point where it was just like, oh, come on. You know, because if she was hiding in apocalypses all around
Right.
and not causing any deviations, despite all the other shit she was doing and stealing the little time charges from everybody and setting them off and doing all that other shit,
Right.
why would two
Right.
Lokis being together cause this,
Such a huge
Yeah,
disruption. Yeah.
that they would notice and be like, oh, let's go and we can fix it?
Yeah, why would it be different than if he removed a couple of ribs and sucked his own dick?
Fair.
Why did you go there?
Well, okay.
I'm not sure I want to know.
It's probably true.
And
It goes into the fundamental growing up as a dude.
Never mind. I understood what you were talking about. I just said, why'd you go there?
Because it's really the same thing. Kissing a variant of yourself that just happens to be female is the same as masturbation. Or,
so now we're going to go back to Adam and Eve here.
well, okay, yeah, it's all masturbation. Well, it's all incest porn, really.
Fair. Wow.
Hey, aren't we having a great time on this show?
turned
Yeah.
very quick.
Whee!
So, I mean, do you think that was just kind of a
it's never really explored again.
Yeah.
Like, they never use it for any purpose, or, like, except the two of them going in.
In by He Who Remains.
Yes. Which we still have that argument. They never used it for anything, except did they kind of use it to gain entrance to the castle, but not really?
Not that I thought.
Defeat the
I mean, all right,
erasure monster, kind of, but not really?
they were holding hands, but it didn't seem like it was more like a support or like a merging of the powers, to enchant Agarov.
It was like a practical magic kind of thing. We're grabbing hands. We gotta, be in
I
physical
didn't
contact
really
for our powers to be stronger.
If I didn't see that movie.
No.
That's okay.
I only got the vibe that there was like.
I'm just saying, there's a lot of
anything
witchy
going
friends
on.
we've got out there that might be a little disappointed.
Was it when they were in the office of the
TVA.
the he who will not be named or whatever, is that
Kang
what,
the Conqueror.
No.
Yeah.
different variant.
It's a variant of Kang.
so
Yes.
when they were there and male Loki looked like he wanted to kiss Sylvie and Sylvie was just like, ugh. That was the only time. I mean, yeah, they were like getting close, but just because it was a man and a woman, I think that you put a lot of your own baggage on it that it was romantic.
I think that there was actual talk in the show about romance and that they actually kissed once, and that's how they found them on Disaster Planet with the moon crashing in. And that was consensual, a kiss at what they thought was the end of their life, and then the TVA found them. So there was heavy.
There was big overtones.
Yeah, going back to that, was that just the Deus Ex?
Yes, it's a Deus Ex Machina.
Yeah.
It was never used again, and it was never used well again. Because, like, the defeating of the cloud erasure monster thing, yeah, you're right. It was just them holding hands, and nothing really happened.
Yeah.
Like, it was not. I would be curious what was on the cutting room floor that we had to make that jump, because there was great stuff just before that. There was awesome stuff just after that, and so I'm wondering if they're just like hand wavy, like, let's do the Scooby-Doo ending.
We needed this for filler, and then we're gonna move on.
Yeah,
Not everything can have glorious purpose.
it should.
I mean, you don't always have to be burdened with glorious purpose. Sometimes glorious purpose could just be a thing and a joy into and of itself.
You probably should aspire to this purpose.
Yes. Loki was constantly burdened with glorious purpose. Like, oh my god, I have to go do glorious purpose. Like,
I can totally relate.
listen, as a child of the 80s, yes. As a Gen Xer, everybody thinks I'm a genius. All right, fine. I guess I'll. Let's do this thing.
Let's get into who shall not be named.
Oh, sorry, you weren't talking about me.
No.
Must be you.
He Who Remains.
No.
So,
No,
he
not
who
you.
remains.
Oh, sorry.
Nice job, Voldemort.
Kang. I mean, not
That was my fault.
the Kang, but Kang variant, right?
Yeah.
So, Bear and Jen are staring because they have not read comics as much, especially not ones with Kang, who is weird.
Listen, you're one letter away from Krang, which is much more interesting to me.
Wait, I feel like Kang was in something that we read.
I don't know. Purple face, helmet, time traveler?
Yeah, like cylindrical head kind of thing.
No.
Okay.
No. Galactus.
Nope. Kang is
Galactus
a
Silver Surfer stuff?
Yeah. Kang is a time traveler who is just basically looking to conquer every timeline. He has a bunch of stuff with it. But yeah, it's comics. Kang, I like the idea of this, and I'm looking forward to seeing Loki season 2 because what He Who Remains described as the other versions of himself are basically a bunch of Kangs. That they all want to conquer all the other timelines and then each other's timelines, and like it's basically Battle Royale, or it's basically Jet Li the One.
Yeah.
Jesus.
Only with people with a dictator or a megalomaniacal dictator.
Especially if he's the least shitty one.
Yeah, right.
According to himself.
Yes.
I mean,
he's the one that came up with a solution to stay out of the war and keep his timeline intact.
which I heard he's going to be in the next Ant-Man movie.
Oh, awesome.
So it's going to be interesting to see if maybe he'll be the villain in that.
Or another version of him.
Yeah.
Is this just our next arch villain? Is Kang the Conqueror?
I mean, yeah, until they can really figure out Doctor Doom.
Yeah, I don't have any high hopes because they've already fucked him up twice.
They turned Galactus into a cloud, though. I mean, like, you fuck up real bad. Like, real bad. By turning Galactus into a cloud.
I was more okay with Galactus as a cloud than I was with any incarnation of Doctor Doom that Marvel's put out so far.
Okay, fair. That's fair. I have not seen the newest one that Michael B. Jordan is in.
We have these evolutions, and thankfully Marvel has done some good things like springboard people from originally crappy roles into much better roles.
Mm-hmm. Twice.
Mostly twice. Both times it started with Fantastic Four, and then they turned into something better.
Right. Yeah. Wait,
and both times it was a Human Torch.
Yeah. Chris Evans into Captain America, and Michael B. Jordan into Killmonger.
Because in the second incarnation of Fantastic Four, you had...
Who was Stretch Armstrong?
In the first one, it was...
actor that I cannot remember. He was the only one that I did not recognize.
I've seen him before, and now I gotta look up the D.
Also, I have normalized Stretch Armstrong as that character's name in Fantastic Four. Yes!
Just in the show, yes.
It's a thing.
So Jonathan Majors, though, I thought the character was fantastic.
He did a great job. No, and it's the only, and it's my own hang up. I totally get that. But I'm trying to remember the name of the actor who was the operative in Serenity.
My favorite character.
Yeah.
My favorite character.
Yes. He was also in Kinky Boots. And he has
Doctor Strange.
Also in Doctor Strange. You're right. Which is probably why he wasn't Kang, now that I think about it. Thank you for pointing that out. Because, like, I see that actor and I'm like, you're almost this other actor that I like a lot more. Just in mannerisms and in ways that he talks. But yeah, no, that would be because he's already Mordo. You're right.
I mean, the first time I saw him was in H.P. Lovecraft show on HBO.
Oh, Lovecraft.
Oh, Lovecraft.
Yeah.
Lovecraft,
That's so
which is awesome.
Which was fantastic. Yeah.
So then, when he pops up in the show, I'm just like, my brain is going, who the hell is this? I don't want to stop watching.
No, but you're going to IMDb on your phone.
Trying to figure
it out. Yeah.
And, about halfway into the amount of time that he's on the screen, I'm like, holy fuck, it's him. And then had to kind of rewind a little bit.
Yeah.
And
it's like every time Richard E. Grant, especially in this, whenever he shows up, I'm like, that's Darwin Mayflower from Hudson Hawk.
Yes.
Yeah. But I mean, just he was kind of swarmy and snide.
Yes.
And, he did play the, I'm all knowing, and, just when he was going through and gave him the papers going, this is what you're going to say.
Yeah.
I've already seen this.
The reveal, though, I'm giddy because we're off script.
Once that hit.
Brilliance.
Yeah.
You could see the change in him.
Yeah.
And where it was just this, whatever, I'm omniscient and blah, blah, blah. Go ahead and do whatever you want. To the point of his character almost did at least a 90-degree turn on being so happy that he didn't know what was going on.
Yeah.
But then when he said that, he was probably just going to get reincarnated, made me wonder, is this kind of Marvel's way of being able to kind of nerf this whole thing going on? Nerf the multiple timelines where Loki comes back, but now you can bring it back because he's just going to get reincarnated.
Here's the question.
Who remains versus, Kang taking over, because Kang's going to kick some ass. We all know that.
Right. Is it really reincarnation, though? Because that's not what he was talking about. He was not talking about, like, his soul going and the cycle beginning anew. He was talking about the Kang War going on long enough that one other Kang was going to decide to do what he did, and that due to those actions, that's why they would end up in the same room at the same time again. just because the inevitability of the timeline, and it may, like, he was even allowing for differences, but saying that it was the pattern. It's that, you go on long enough and another Kang is going to have the idea that I did, and, we'll be back in this room again. He didn't mean those exact people. He basically meant a timeline is going to work out like this again.
When he said reincarnation, though, I took it to be him personally as he who remains versus Kang. He who remains will come back. I think that's going to be the stable timeline that the Marvel Universe is going to jump back to. Because, you can only have so many branches out before it just becomes some weird fucking too crazy for, anybody but a non-comic book nerd to follow.
Well, but that's what they're building. That's what they're building right now, because I haven't seen Eternals. Just came out this weekend.
I'm going Monday.
So I don't know.
More important things to do this weekend.
I understand. I don't know if they have alternate timeline stuff in that, but I do know that Spider-Man is going to have alternate timeline stuff, and Doctor Strange is going to have alternate timeline stuff. So
both of those make sense.
Spider-Man already has.
No,
well,
Spider-Man. No, because
not the current Marvel incarnation of Spider-Man does not yet have alternate timeline
Yes.
stuff.
Because Mysterio said he was from an alternate timeline, and then it turned out to be bullshit.
Have you guys seen Venom yet?
No, not the new one.
Not the new one.
Oh, all right.
I want to watch it because Woody Harrelson. I don't know that I've seen a bad Woody Harrelson movie yet.
White Man Can't Jump?
Like I said, I don't know if I've seen a bad Woody Harrelson movie yet.
All right,
I didn't say I didn't say I haven't ever seen a good Woody Harrelson movie. I just haven't seen a bad one. There are several okay Woody Harrelson movies.
For everybody out there, you have to watch Venom, the second Venom, and you have to stay till the end credits and watch that. Obviously, I won't spoil it because that would just be really shitty.
Right.
But it'll put what I'm saying kind of into context.
Okay.
So as a quick aside, because I went and looked it up while we were all sitting here talking, the guy that plays Stretch Armstrong
Yes.
in the first Fantastic Four movie
Yes.
back in like 2005.
Yep.
And I'm going to butcher the hell out of his name, but it looks like Ian Grufford, something like that. He was, his big claim to fame that I can see was he was Horatio Hornblower in the Horatio Hornblower series.
Oh.
On top of having several like bit parts here and there, like Justice League stuff, and then it really popped out as Reed Richards in Fantastic Four. So that's where you might have seen him before. There's a couple other places where I've seen him, but
that's also the
watched
one
a bunch of bad movies. So
yeah, it's also the one that had Jessica Alba as Sue Storm,
like the King Arthur 2004 King Arthur. He was Lancelot, which is one of the big things that I had seen him before in.
What about the second movie, the Fantastic Four? Isn't there one later?
Yes.
Yes,
that was
but
the one
that
with
had a
Michael B.
whole
Jordan
different
in it.
crew.
Yeah.
That was the one Michael B. Jordan as Human Torch, and that did not have him as Reed Richards.
I have yet to see that.
I haven't seen the newer one either.
There are moments that are better, some moments that are better, but everything that either of these movies has done with Doctor Doom has been downright degrading to the character.
So the only way that we are going to do a Fantastic Four episode is if Leia and our friend Adam come from Chicago, because Adam is a huge Fantastic Four fan.
Right.
And we will do it the same way that we're doing it right now, where everyone is in the living room drinking.
Yes.
While we deal with the Fantastic Four.
Well, yeah. I mean, and he's a fan, and I hope we may have to have somebody sit in between us, because, I mean, I don't want to upset him, but I will call Reed Richards Stretch Armstrong all the time.
Baron Underbite from Venture Brothers
was
a better Doctor Doom character than the first Doctor Doom.
Yes.
Oh, listen.
Agreed.
When you see the second one, you will freaking cry. You watch the new Fantastic Four. I say new Fantastic Four, but it's nothing like new.
Okay, I'm going to guess that we are done talking about Loki
No,
at this point.
let's continue.
Okay.
Let's get back on topic.
Sorry, I was supposed to be a short aside. It turned into some.
Does anybody
bitch
have
freaking
anything
fight.
to bring us back on topic?
What did you think of the whole concept of the TVA with knowing He Who Remains is the one that is the behind it?
Establishment.
I like it. I found it made sense. It for that world. It everything kind of the fact that magic doesn't work in the TVA was a great point. Yeah.
The Infinity Stones
The
in
Infinity
the mail
Stones.
clerk.
I giggled
Yeah.
a little bit about the fact that they're talking about the Infinity, like a bunch of the people just use them as paperweights.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, there were arguments that basically it made the sacrifices for the earlier MCU feel trivial, and I don't feel that at all. The TVA is its own entity outside of the timeline, so that doesn't mean that the stakes are less. Just because some place exists outside, how many people believe in heaven? Does that mean that whatever happens on Earth just doesn't matter? No. In fact, that's kind of the whole point.
Right.
You have heaven, and the TVA is just limbo.
Well, I mean, yeah, the rules that govern one place may not necessarily govern another. That doesn't mean that the rules in the place that you're in aren't important and that it doesn't have
So what you're saying is that there's a lot of people that don't understand how the Planescape campaign setting for Dungeons and Dragons works.
Listen, I'm not a Dungeons and Dragons fan. I mean, I'm in a campaign now, but it's a dude that made the whole thing up.
Listen, it's 5th ed, so... I'm saying it's 5th ed, so it's not... You shouldn't really, Sorry, Kat. You shouldn't really invest a whole lot into it.
Anyway.
So, with going back to the timeline, do you think that this show nerfs Thor Ragnarok and Thor, the second one?
The Dark World?
Yeah, the Dark World.
I think Thor the Dark World nerfs Thor the Dark World because I can't remember anything about it. Right. And apparently I'm filling in much better movies into it to try and redeem it.
Yeah, and we basically jumped from Avengers with Loki getting the Tesseract, jumping into the TVA.
Right.
So we've...
Okay, so you're basically talking about, does it nerf Loki's redemption arc?
Not necessarily if it nerfs his redemption arc, because he's seen the movie of what possibly could happen.
Yeah.
Right.
But, I mean, do you think they're going to insert him back into, Season 2 will have to insert him back into this point to actually make the other things happen?
I'm going to jump in on this one and say this is everything about time travel, and especially because they're talking about alternate timelines, so we start getting into that bit that Jen and I are going to hate. This smacked very hard. It had all of the beats of Crisis on Infinite Earths. And I looked at this honestly, as I'm watching it, and I got through it, and I'm just like, God, this just stinks of time travel, even though it's not really time travel.
Right.
But it also...
Right, because this...
It also stinks of setup.
Because this goes by the theory that the moment time travel occurs, it's not really time travel, it is a fork in a timeline.
Yes. But I also, like I said, this also stinks of setup. Somewhere in the back of my head, the whole time while I was watching the series, I was just like, they're setting up another epic.
They're setting up, okay, and they might be, but they're setting up for sure a second season of Loki, and here's what I will give credit for. Someone, while they were storyboarding this out, went, there is too much for what we have. And the pacing was great.
I'm going to jump into what is about to be a future episode. I'm going to do my least I can to spoil it at all, but...
Jupiter's Legacy?
No.
Oh, okay.
What If?
Oh, yeah.
Because
I've been
I haven't seen it yet.
Literally avoiding it.
I'm not going to talk about it. I'm just going to mention how I think there's a huge link between Loki and What If, about how this is all just a setup for their next big epic, like they did with the Infinity Saga.
No, I do agree with that, because I think, and we'll get into it more in the What If episode, but I believe there is one specific instance that we're going to see in the Doctor Strange. We're going to see a What If character and an MCU regular character
Yup.
meet.
Yup. And that's all we're going to say about it.
Right, until the What If episode. But yes, I do
And
agree with you.
we haven't talked about this before, so I want to know exactly which character. When we get done recording, I want to know exactly which characters, but I'm pretty sure I already have them pegged, which ones you're thinking of.
Okay. Any other questions? We are at an hour and 6 minutes.
I do not. I mean,
Okay, so...
the TVA characters, I mean, were interesting. I mean, the whole...
Yeah.
And then having the robot, being the three, watchers or whatever it was.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Being robots.
Yeah.
Right.
I was pretty surprised by that.
I also was amused, since we were talking about robots, that they had the barrier that you have to go through to make sure you're not a robot or an android. And that also we will discuss in What If, because it's brilliant, because it sets up.
Yeah. So much.
Yes.
That I was just like, are you... And I would never got it if I wouldn't have watched Loki when it came out.
Yep.
And then watched What If when it came out. And then came back and watched Loki again before this episode. And then went, oh my... I got this.
So, what we read, issues 1 through 5, but we do have the omnibus, which means that this isn't even a will you go out and find the rest of this run.
It means...
We have read literally a quarter of what there is in this run. So,
I thought it was a third.
Maybe it's a third.
Maybe it's a third.
418.
Yeah, something like that. Yeah. So, Loki, are you going to run through the rest, or have you already?
Actually, I would like for us to come back and discuss that. Like, read the rest of it, and then come back and re-talk about it.
Little bonus? That's cool.
Yeah.
And then I will watch the What If, and then maybe we could do Loki / What If.
That sounds
And
like a
kind of mix
between
that all
seasons.
together, yeah.
Sounds like a good bonus episode.
Yeah.
We haven't done a bonus episode in a couple of seasons, I think.
Jen? First.
Yes.
Bear?
I am actually a little bit like Jen, and only because of moments of opportunity, because my current job, in the last week, I actually hadn't read any of this, of the 119 pages or something like that we were supposed to read just for today, until like Wednesday.
Oh,
And-
honey, I read it at lunch today.
And then some, apparently.
Yeah.
I didn't burn through it that fast. I don't like reading it on digital. It's real hard for me. But here's the thing: is because of the nature of my work, I had to spend roughly about 12. Probably about 8 hours this week just on standby, which means I'm literally standing at the top of a hole watching other people work because I have to be there for safety purposes. And I'm just like, well, okay, I'm gonna start reading my homework, and burn through all of it, and just got about 10 pages further than what I needed to read before I realized, I've already done all my homework.
Yep, same.
I'm the same, especially with work. I mean, I have the homework for this show. I have the homework for Rec Conversations. Currently, I'm reading 3 different Marvel Noir books to get ready for the next Rec Conversations episode. Which, by the way, I will say, if you, the two of you want to audit that one, I think you'll like it. Marvel Noir is good shit, because nothing's supernatural or magic in that world. So you have to still have Spider-Man, but with no radioactive or superpowers.
I don't mind Supernatural and...
Also need to have the X-Men with no mutant gene.
Okay, that's a little more interesting.
It's fantastic. But anyway, I will continue to read this when I do have time, because this brought me in. I would also recommend, if you like this, to go to Kieran Gillen's... Kieran Gillen being the person that did Wicked and the Divine and did Phonograph. Also did Young Avengers, which is what you're going to see with all of this new generation. So this has America Chavez. It has, I believe, Squirrel Girl's in there. It has Wiccan, and it has Speed. Wanda's kids.
Children.
And Kid Loki. As a superhero team. It is... Oh, and Hulkling, who you will fucking love.
Good to know.
I have to say, I was highly amused in what we read for Loki where he was referred to as a member of One Direction
Yes.
and as Harry Styles.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I was
People keep confusing me with Harry Styles. Yeah. I was actually... shit, I had a thing I was going to say.
Yeah. Well, I'll go back to Hulkling is half Kree, half Skrull, but loves the Hulk so much that he uses all of his Skrull stuff to basically be like Hulk-like all the time.
So he's just a fanboy.
Yes.
I'm down with that. I was actually going to say, now I remember what I was going to say is, I would probably put this particular graphic novel, I think I'm going to put this in the top 10 of ones that we've read.
All right.
Because this was well put together. Yeah. It was beautifully illustrated. Simply, but beautifully illustrated. And I just really had a good time with it. Yeah.
Yeah, it's a fun comic.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm actually going to look up the person who drew it and see what their influences were, because I really did enjoy the style of it.
Right.
Absolutely. Well, and it's ironic because Loki and I were talking about the Wicked and the Divine.
Oh, really?
Before we were recording.
Literally minutes. I heard that conversation. Yeah. Literally minutes before we started recording.
I forgot that since you're staying with us, normally what I do is I will go and handpick graphic novels and put next to the bed upstairs. Usually Philea when she's here. But
Instead, we're just going to cuddle.
Well, I would give you Rat Queens, but this rat bastard over here still hasn't brought it back.
Sitting on my coffee table with a stack of other shit you hand me and it said, "This is really cool, you should read it." And I'm like, yeah, I'll get to it. I'm busy.
But yeah, we'll send you to bed. I don't know if you read before you fall asleep.
We're going to send you to bed.
We're gonna
okay, Loki, it's bedtime.
You go to bed and you have to read a book. I actually brought my Kindle with me.
Nice.
And I am reading The Godfather.
Nice.
Oh.
Reading The Godfather.
I've never read that.
I've never read The Godfather either.
Neither have I.
So far, I'm up to the point where you've obviously seen
right,
The Godfather.
Right, yeah.
Yes.
Where Vito Corleone was shot and is in the hospital.
Yeah.
And it pretty much goes pace for pace with the movie so far.
Wow.
Nice. Okay. All right. Well, thank you, Loki, for not only coming on the show, but coming all the way down. We're going to have a great weekend. And
fantastic.
Looking
forward to Dune.
We're going to have a great rest of the night. We're going to have a great day tomorrow.
Yep, that's right. Please, everyone, tune in 2 weeks when we actually do What If? Or, which we've alluded to all this time. So we will answer all of those unanswered questions if we remember them. But until then, take it away, Vandello.
Come with me, I'll tell a story that you might have heard before. Graphically novel, but the same old trouble. Villains always knocking at the door. Pretty pictures on the page, but nothing ever stays the same. Come at me, and I'll show you something you ain't never seen before. Right or wrong, oh can't we all just get along? My mask is no different than yours. Pretty pictures on the screen, but nothing's ever as it seems.